Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main man Bryce Ward. What is going on, Bryce?
Not much, man. Just want to start the podcast with a clear message. Free Kyrie. We listen to no Kyrie hate right now. That's not what we're about. The
No
rest of the
Kyrie
league, the
slander.
rest of the league's gonna bash him. We're gonna not jump on that bandwagon yet.
But what we are going to do is continue to bash the Nets, which we've done for 3 years now. But
But
we're going to get into
on a
that.
basketball stage, yes, they're trash.
Yes, but we're going to get into that just a little later. But thank you for the energy. It's much appreciated.
Mm.
But we're going to bash somebody else first. Bryce Ward, if I was to tell you that the combination of Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James would currently be 0-5, and because of the horrific performance by the Miami Heat last night, the only remaining defeated team in the league, would you believe me?
I was like, I don't think they're gonna be great, but I wouldn't have. I would have had reservations about saying they're going to start 0-5. The Westbrook situation seems to have gotten worse quickly at the beginning of the season so far. I know how you feel about that. I'm not even arguing the point that it's like I'm not blaming Westbrook for their woes or anything. The whole team isn't shooting great, and it was a bad mix to begin with. So I'm not going to jump on this bandwagon like everybody has for a very long time of trashing Westbrook, even though I'm not a big fan or anything. I think there's a certain role for him. I think the team needs to embrace it. I think Westbrook needs to embrace it where he's at in his current situation. Coming off the bench might be what they need from him. I don't know. Either way, they're a bad team. It's a bad mix. Nobody's shooting well. There's not a lot of shooters to begin with. LeBron James doing LeBron James things. Anthony Davis is always just going to be Anthony Davis. I don't think he has like what it takes to really like be a team leader in the sense of where he can take you to a win. Like if LeBron James wasn't out there, he's not going to take you to that win. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
still LeBron James, and I don't think Anthony Davis ever gets to that point really at like where we see him at this career so far. So it's just bad mix. There's a lot of problems in LA. I wouldn't have guessed they'd be 0-5, but after last season and them not being able to make any significant moves other than Beverly, right? And what did we say? He's not going to win you a championship.
You have to say it correctly. Patrick Beverly is not going to bring a championship to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Right.
I love
So
you, Drew Holiday. I love you.
the 0-5 start could be a little bit of a surprise, but then again, the beginning of the season is an odd time for a lot of teams. Lakers aren't good coming into the season, so I wouldn't say it's the biggest surprise. No, just a little surprise.
I think it's a big surprise that they're 0-5. I believe it's the first time LeBron's been 0-5 in his career. As
So,
much as I love,
rookie season.
how far did they go without win? I can't remember.
I'm just gonna stick with the 0-5 stat I've been seeing
Okay,
floating
we're at
around.
0-5 since 2003-2004 NBA season right now.
Yep, yep.
Um, Ironically, that season, I believe Dwayne Wade and the Heat started off 0-7 and still turned it around and made the playoffs. That exact same season.
There you go.
Um, yeah. So
You heard it here first, folks. Cam
yeah.
said Lakers are gonna make the playoffs. That's what you just said.
I did not say
What you said.
I did
That's
not
what I
say that.
heard. That's what I heard.
I love this energy this morning. I love it. The Lakers are a complete and utter disaster. So there's things that have been said about some of these players over the years that is all coming to fruition now. So I'm, I'm me. I'm gonna keep it raw and real. When everyone else was sucking Anthony Davis' dick, I was always like, he's not great. I've always said that from day one. What I've said was that he's good in fantasy, But as a basketball player and making his team better and his teammates around him better, he's not great. We're seeing that now. Russell Westbrook. A lot of people have said that, everything in the book about Russell Westbrook, but I more so people said he wouldn't fit with this team. I was always under the opinion that he could, but LeBron had to come off the ball, which he won't do. So that is true. Russell Westbrook is not a good fit for this team. I will never, ever, ever in my life say anything bad about Russell Westbrook. So me saying he's not a good fit for this team isn't me saying that he's a horrible player, because like I always say, he could go to your Magic and lead that team to the playoffs. So when the
Or
Lakers,
your Heatles, either or.
I'm talking about the Magic now. When we're gonna get on the Heat later. When Westbrook had this hamstring injury and was set out Wednesday night, I called shenanigans on that. But then the Lakers lost. I'm like, well, Westbrook's been getting all this heat. He's not playing. You still can't make a fucking shot, and you still lost. The very next game, okay, now Westbrook's gonna come off the bench. He had 18 points, 9 rebounds in limited minutes. Apparently, he did well with the second unit. And guess what? The Lakers still lost. So who are the people going to blame now? You need to look at upper management, and then you also need to look at LeBron James. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Until people start doing that, I'm not going to take any conversation or negative hate about Russell Westbrook seriously anymore.
I would double down and have a different, closer opinion. And I would say, because we've had many conversations where it's, I also do not blame Westbrook. Like I've said, it's just a bad fit. But I do blame management, and I blame, Anthony Davis for not kind of living up to his potential in a way. Like, he kind of bamboozled, I think, everybody, including maybe LeBron. And upper management and LeBron are kind of the same thing. They work in unison together. Upper management doesn't make a move without LeBron James, and LeBron James puts out what he thinks are good ideas. So he has part of the blame as well. It's the whole unit. It's everybody. It still don't, in terms of what's going on in the court, is you can't really blame LeBron James, in my opinion. He's just going to do, and maybe the coaching though, because we all know how coaching goes when there's LeBron James. So it's just a weird combination. LeBron is going to play, I guess, the amount that he thinks he needs to actually win games. So I don't think there'll be any stepping back. I just think he feels like he has to do these things. So it's really Anthony Davis just not knowing how to will his team. I think that's the biggest issue besides a bad mix.
Got it. So I know you want to talk about your Magic. You've been super excited. You can watch a couple of Magic games. You have the floor, sir.
Well, we're 1-5, so we're right on track to make the playoff tournament. No, there's been a lot of outside of the excitement around Paolo, and I mean the whole league has taken notice because it's undeniable. But as a Magic fan, it's to have this kind of talent and to have it proven to us so early. It's we just pray there's no injuries, of course, because already the team is decimated. But Paolo's performance kind of speaks for itself. It's without anything crazy going on, it looks like he's going to be one of the great players in the league, probably sooner rather than later. So a lot of the doom and gloom with the Magic fan base right now seems to be with the record, of course, because we started off 0-5, which we did get to take ourselves out of that all-losing team category with a win over the Hornets, which, I might add, despite their injuries and their missing players, they're actually one of the hotter teams in the league, one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league, and they beat Golden State last night as well.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, so Charlotte hasn't been a terrible team in the league, and yet the Magic were able to get a win, their first win off of Charlotte. So I've tried to put the beginning of the season into context. since everybody else hit the panic button, or a lot of the general fan base seemed to want to hit the panic button and want to fire, already jump to the conclusion that we need to fire Jamal Mosley, which how adding more uncertainty to an already fucked up season full of injury, how that fixes anything blew me away, but whatever. The time to judge Mosley isn't this season, not right now. So there
It'll be
that
next season.
jumping, huh?
I say it'll be next season.
Yeah, at the end of next season, probably. But anyway, because we don't know how these conversations are going behind closed doors with the management and and the coaching staff and management. But anyways, we have most of our guards out for this game, and they started Franz Wagner, Terrence Ross, Paolo, Wendell Carter Jr., and Bol, who has been playing well in the limited minutes he's been coming off the bench. You laugh, but you need to watch some highlights because while he's been
So
healthy, he's been positive, which is nuts, right?
I don't believe in this. I have to
Regardless,
see it. I
regardless,
have to
him
see
starting in this lineup, it's the game we get the win on. We've only played 2 home games. This was our second home game. The other home game was against Boston, who's been playing well, and we played them well. So, in context, only playing 1 home game in the stretch of the 5-game losing streak, having no point guards. We're missing Markel Fultz, Jalen Suggs, currently in the last couple games, Cole Anthony, and Gary Harris. Those are by far our 4, I'd say, most consistent guards. You throw Terrence Ross in there right now. He's had a couple really hot games, but not. He's shown still though a little inconsistency, but a lot of that has to do, I think, with the roster mix-ups because Mosley doesn't have a choice. He has to mix up the rosters because our guards are hurt. So with all that in context, I was not panicking. I just was hoping for some wins. As a Magic fan, you still don't want to see your team lose, but from the conversations we had that just how excited I was about Paolo.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's one thing that we did learn in this time frame is that Paolo really is the guy. He can do everything. The other night, he was running point and had the ball in his hands more often than not when he was on the court.
Mhm.
And even though I think Franz was more or less the official point guard in that game, or at least started off that way, I think Paolo was better in that role. And I think Franz is he's already proven he's so good off the ball. I think when Franz is running and cutting and playing his game, the rest of the offense moves a little bit better. And so I think letting Paolo maybe run point and make that decision work just a little bit better. And for whatever reason, we were able to kind of get out in front early against Charlotte, and they've been a hot team, but we were able to pretty much stuff them the whole game. And whenever they had shots, we answered. It was just what you wanted to see out of the team that hasn't won a game yet, and it looked pretty. It wasn't like a struggling game. It looked like they just finally did everything they were asked to do the right way, and it worked against Charlotte. And Paolo's a superstar already. So we were able to lean on him and get to the line and get shots and get the offense or get the defense to respond to his offense in a way that we haven't had a player do for the Magic in a very long time. So lots of excitement. Just tell the fan base to chill out a little bit because we're going to be fine. You need to put everything in context, and Paolo is the truth, and every Magic fan should be just beyond excited for him and the
They're
future
not
of the
going to chill
team.
out. They're not going to chill out. Most of them are ungrateful pricks anyway, so they're not going to chill out. But no, I'm
That's most
happy
fan
that.
bases, I'd say.
Say what?
There's a lot of fan bases, I'd say.
Yeah, but we're specifically talking about yours right now. Um, no, there's a lot of good things going on in Orlando, so people just need to kind of have a seat and kind of exhale and let the season progress and see what you get at the end of the season. I've seen bits and pieces, but I have yet to sit down and watch an entire Orlando Magic game. But the bits and pieces I've saw have been pretty good. And I am in love with your front court. Just absolutely in love with your front court. I have yet to see Bobo. in the Orlando Magic uniform. So I really have to see this. Okay? I have to see this because this is becoming a thing now. So I definitely want to take the time to see it. So
Wait, wait, real quick. When he's been on the court, it's been like sometimes on offense, it feels like a
mhm,
liability. He gets a little excited, and it's just like if he has the ball in his hands, he'll run coast to coast, and it's worked a few times. But when you're watching it, you're just like, it's a little scary. But on
it's a little
defense,
scary. Yeah,
yeah, but
yeah.
on defense, we're trying to be a switching defense team, and we're trying to learn the ins and outs of that on the fly with limited, like I said, limited team continuity because of our guards missing,
Right,
and the
right.
length that Bol brings is kind of like a bailout sometimes, because he can make up for whatever mistakes. Now, sometimes that leads to them not boxing out, and that's been one of the major criticisms in their games. They've
Mhm.
had a problem keeping people off the offensive glass, specifically against Cleveland, which has been playing well. We could not keep Jared Allen off the glass. So our size and our front court, it's a lot of fun on offense, but I think it pays to Paolo's rookie season as well. Like him being a young guy, he has to make sure to box out, and this team learning this new switching defense that I think they have potential to be good at because they're built almost like Boston and with size and length, and Boston's defense is amazing at that. So I think they're learning the right things. It's just early on, it's tough, and they're making the wrong reads, and they're hesitating, and it's keeping them from boxing out. It's keeping them from doing things, and so they just have to, as a young team, leaning on a rookie. Everybody has to hold each other accountable because the better and quicker they learn that system and just doing the fundamentals, they're going to see a big difference. But the boxing out, that's been frustrating every game, man. It's crazy how many offensive rebounds we allow.
Because it's hard to switch back. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, I can understand that. Because even though the bigs are versatile, they still might be a step slow to get back,
They
to
they
get
have
those
they have the
rebounds.
athleticism to be where they need to be, but right now they're thinking. It's not
Yeah,
it's not just a reaction. I think that's just one step behind, and that's costing us a little bit in some of the
right,
games
right,
with big men.
right. Well, we're gonna talk about the debacle that is the Miami Heat. Again, I keep it raw and I keep it real. They're playing terrible right now. Um, there's no sense of urgency. Um, I'm waiting for the Jimmy Butler explosion because it's coming. If it didn't come last night, it's definitely coming. Um,
It
I
needed to
did
come
see,
last night.
dude, it was it. The Heat are an older team. You know, me and Kevin had an exchange. Shout out to Kevin on the Balls in Our Court podcast. We had an exchange on Twitter last night. He's like, you know, they're an old team. I'm like, well, yeah, they are. And Sacramento's young, as we know. And I mean, Sabonis was absolutely like just destroying us last night before he fouled out. Um, but everyone from Jimmy on down has to step up and has to have a sense of urgency because by the time they do have a sense of urgency, it's too late. The game's gotten away. The other teams that are younger have all the swag in the world, and it's hard to stop that. And it's just like I say this all the time. You can't just step on the floor and expect to win. You have to put in the work to win. They act like they've won a championship last year. Like y'all haven't. Y'all got to the conference finals and got bounced. Yeah, we had shenanigans. We still got. You didn't even get to the NBA finals and you're coming out playing like this. It's like no. You have to go out there, scrap, and fight the entirety of the game. There's no reason we should lose a game where Tyler Hero scores like I think he ended up with 34 points. Like, there's no way we should lose that. In addition to Kyle Lowry having 15, Jimmy being Jimmy, Bam being Bam, we shouldn't have lost that game. Um, so they're not playing well defensively. The 3-point shot is really hurting us. But last night they gave up at least 5 or 6 layups to the Kings, just like right there. I'm like, when do we do this? Like this never happens. It never happens to the Heat. So I don't know if you saw me on Twitter last night, but I was just like, blow it up. I was like, Pat Riley knows what he needs to do. Just do it. That's where I'm at right now. I am done with this incarnation of the team
Mm.
because I've I'm consistent. 4 years, that's it. This is year 4. I'm not saying trade Jimmy Butler, but Kyle Lowry, Bam. We can't trade Tyler this year. Whoever else we need to get rid of to try to get some fresh legs, some fresh ideas into that organization, and we need to do it. Because I've seen enough in these first 2 weeks, and this is not going to go well. This is not.
It could
It
be like
might be
Boston season. You could just turn it around mid-season sometime.
those legs. Those
Hey,
legs look dead, man.
I saw it had to be a joke, so I laughed. I saw Tyler Hero throw an alley oop to Haslam.
Udonis did play. He did.
He did not get up for that alley oop. In case you're wondering,
I know he wasn't ready for it. He
he
wasn't
fell
ready
down.
for it. So,
Tyler Hero threw an alley oop to Haslam.
so
He
at the
hasn't
point,
jumped in 20 years.
and this is no disrespect to Udonis Haslam, but at the point where he's getting quality minutes now to inspire other people, it's a wrap.
Can we
Because I
give
know
him a management role now, please? Please,
this is his last season.
please.
This is his last season.
Okay.
So I know you brought up, well, you could do what Boston did. We're not talking about 23 and 24-year-olds outside of Tyler and Bam. We're talking about some old guys on this team. They I know they were trying to go all in to get Kevin Durant and to get Donovan Mitchell, but there should have been a plan B, and it doesn't look like there is a plan B. And now we're paying the price for it, because everyone else has gotten better, and we kind of stayed the same. So I kind of laughed when people were like, "Oh, the Heat are going to be a play-in team. They're not going to be in the top of the Eastern Conference." I kind of laughed it off. I'm like, "Whatever. We'll be in the top four. Right now, we're going to be in the play-in." I'm just being real about it. We're going to be in the play-in, and we don't want to see none of those top-tier teams. Like, we did beat Portland, and I do want to give Portland a little love because right now they're first in the Western Conference. When we thought they were going to be done, but they're off to a hot
Damon's out 1 to 2. He's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks though with that light injury he has. I forget what it
Yeah,
is.
I think it was like a little calf injury or something like that. And I've seen Portland play 2 or 3 times now, so I kind of like what's going on over there. So shout out to Portland for leading the West right now.
That
But we
Simon
did,
kid's playing well.
yeah, we did beat them, and we were beating them before Dame even went down. So that kind of gave me a little hope. And then they laid the egg that they laid yesterday. And don't get me wrong, traditionally the Heat loses in Sacramento. I don't know why, they just do. But you don't want to lose to a 0-win team. You don't want to be the team to hand them that first W.
Shout
And that's
out
what
Charlotte.
they did last week.
Yeah.
Say what?
I said shout out Charlotte. We needed that win too. Magic.
I was watching the Charlotte Warriors game after that Heat bullshit. And LaMelo, my little cousin, was sitting on the bench, and he was talking and doing his hands like this. And he had 2 rings on. Dude, I almost got blinded through the TV. I was like, Jesus, those rings are worth more than my house. But they were huge. I don't know what they were. That kid's flashy, man.
Yeah, he's super. I mean, his game's flashy. I can't wait to have him back just because the league is more fun with it. But I wanted to ask you in the
he was just.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
The
ahead.
few wins that the Heat do have, what was the difference in those games that you saw? What was it that
They were
put
making
them over the
shots.
top? So, I mean, if you guys just
They were
aren't
making
making
shots.
shots right now, I mean, you got to think that does come around. I mean,
Yeah, but
do
you
you
got to
think
play
Duncan
defense.
Robinson laid just another egg of a season? Like, do you need him that much to make shots to get the rest of the guys going?
Duncan's coming off the bench now, so the
Oh, I
shots
know.
he makes is all bonus. Duncan's not starting anymore. So we're not counting on him to make like 5, 6, 7 threes a night again. They're not making shots, and they're slow on defense and on transition defense. So those are the 2 major issues. So like as the Lakers are missing wide open shots, the Heat are missing wide open shots. But the most concerning thing about it is, with the same roster last year, we led the NBA in 3-point percentage. This year, it's horrible. You get what I'm saying? So that's the most alarming thing. Like with the same group of people, we led the league last year, and now we can't make a shot to save our life. So once the shots start falling, it may open up the floor for everybody else to have more space to create. But you still got to defend, and we're losing on the defensive end as well. So It's going to be a long season, and I'm of the mindset if it's going to be a long season, then we shouldn't have to pay the payroll. Like we just should. Like we need to cut payroll. Look, get that kid from France. That's just where I'm at. That's the way I'm at. And real quick, I'm gonna call
Did
an
you just
audible
say
on.
you should tank?
Yes, I did
Oh my god,
because
I don't think
because
I've ever heard you say tank because you don't build through the draft.
because
That's what you
this is what I'm gonna
said.
this is what I'm gonna tell you. This is what I'm gonna tell you. You can you can build through the draft and still be a free agent destination because we did it before. Before we got LeBron James. I know you didn't know me back then, but before we got LeBron James, we was actually building through the draft, and then we got rid of all those guys.
Victor
But I
Wimbayama must be that
say what?
good, man. I said Victor Wimbayama must be that good. He's got everybody trying to tank.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I saw the kid when he was 14. I was like, this kid is gonna be in the league. Um, I do need to call an audible because I did forget to add something to the podcast, so I just want to mention it really, really quick. I think I did send it to you earlier this week, where they're going to try to do a hard cap in the NBA.
Yeah.
The owners are going to try to do that. To I know the players are not going to go for it. I already know it. But just really quick on your thoughts on because that right there could end all this super team bullshit. So how do you feel about the owners now trying to implement a super hard cap? So what that means is there would be no luxury tax. You couldn't go over. The cap is the actual cap.
What other leagues have that? It's not it's not baseball. Does football have that?
Football is yeah. No.
I mean, you still kind of have, I don't know, dynasties in football too. Like you have long-standing teams that are good, but I don't know. It just changes things quite a bit. Yeah, the super team thing is done. I mean, what does that do? Does that just spread out talent in the NBA? I mean, it
Yes.
already
Yes.
seems a little spread out, in
Yeah.
terms of it seems more talented. It seems like the league is more talented now than ever before, and I feel like it's
Yes.
going to keep going that way. But yeah, I don't. I mean, wouldn't the Players Association push back on this?
They are
Because
they are going to push back. Yeah.
yeah, because what I mean, it would hinder what you could continue to just keep making year after year, right? Because
So
they're expecting more money because of the TV deal, right? And thus the caps were expected to go up. So would the cap still go up, but with a hard cap?
the cap would go up, but there would be a hard cap. So the surplus, of course, would go to the owners. So here's the deal. So if you want, let's say
Oh,
you're the Golden State Warriors right now, and if you were to keep Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, you're going to pay upwards a tax, not their salary, but their tax number is going to be $500 million to keep those guys. That's why everyone's saying there's no way they're going to pay that. So what the hard cap would do, you would either have to lower salaries, which is going to be a no-no for the players, or you just get rid of those players for other lower
right.
lower salaries. So just like with football, yeah, there has been dynasties in the NFL, but there's much more parity in football than any other sport. You can't
Yeah,
say
yeah.
year to year who's going to even go into the playoffs in football. So that could be a byproduct of the NBA. Do I think they're going to be successful in doing that? No. Could it lead to a strike? Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why when I sent you that information, I was like, the war is beginning because I had no idea the owners were going to try to. We knew the owners were going to do something um,
Mm-hmm.
to stop the player empowerment movement. We knew it was going to be something. I didn't know it was going to be this extreme. I had no idea it was going to be this extreme. So
We
yeah.
don't need another lockout. No, thank you.
Well, remember, there's a difference between a lockout and a strike. So a
Okay,
lockout
I know.
is owner imposed. A strike is player imposed. So it could be one of the two, but I don't think the players are going to lay down and accept the hard cap. I don't. I really don't. So speaking of cap and taxes and luxury cap and shit, we got the Brooklyn Nets. The sky is falling in Brooklyn, Bryce. They are 1-5 right now.
Shoot the ball, Ben. Shoot the ball.
Look, no, No shots at the Magic. This is a bigger shot at Brooklyn. But if I was to tell you that the Orlando Magic and the Brooklyn Nets would have the exact same record right now, how would you take that?
Uh, with a smile, you know, because we've been putting the Nets down for a long time, and we
Yeah,
were
we
right
have.
about that one. We were wrong about some others, Lakers couple seasons last season. We were wrong about them, but we've been dead on about the Nets every year. So um, this is what's interesting, and to be excited about the future going forward this season and past. I would be more excited as a Magic fan than a Nets fan, and that's with the current roster. So I think we have a brighter future right now than they do, despite this season. But it's not looking good for them.
At least your players seem to get along and like each other, right?
At least our superstar is a rookie and not a washed up dude, or not washed. I'm not gonna say Kevin Durant's washed up, but we know what we're getting with Durant at this point. He's just 30 a night, only winning championships with Golden State. We know who he is.
Here's a quote from Steve Nash when asked about last night's performance. He called it a disastrous loss. We know the players had a player only meeting. Kevin Durant was asked about it in the presser. He wouldn't reveal any details about it. Kyrie Irving is embroiled in another controversy, which we will bring more details on that on another episode. But he was highly defensive yesterday in his post game presser.
He's dealing with his own thing as usual, as
And
usual.
and then we have your favorite player, Benjamin Simmons. So me and you had a very heated offline conversation yesterday, which my barber heard because I had your speakerphone because he was cutting my hair, so he thought it was hilarious.
I was
Um,
screaming.
you were it was hilarious.
I
So
lost my mind.
because of that, I tweeted out a poll to see how many people think that Ben Simmons could salvage his career. So the results of that poll was the majority of the people thought that Ben Simmons cannot salvage his NBA career. So touche
Can
to
I
Bryce Williams.
say? Can I say here what got me yelling right here?
Yes, yes,
This is
absolutely.
what this is what you said that made me lose my mind. I asked you a question. I said,
Say the question.
"Can you name another player
Mhm.
who has just refused to shoot the ball?"
Yes,
Right? Correct?
yes,
Okay.
correct,
Now,
correct.
I guess I did not put into context the framing of the question, because here's the problem. Ben Simmons, in my opinion, has had a range of games where he has showed
Okay.
he is scared. Not just one game, correct?
Right, right,
Okay.
right,
I did not
right.
put that into the question. Clearly, I should have, because your answer was so outrageous
Yes,
that I really did lose my mind. Because you said, yes, I have seen Kobe Bryant. And I
yes.
mean, my head exploded. Because we go from one side of the spectrum where you have, until recently, you have said Ben Simmons is like one of the softest players you
I
have
have.
ever seen. Okay.
Yes,
And then you compare him to Kobe Bryant,
yes.
who is one of the most mentally tough players
Hmm.
any sport has ever seen.
Hmm.
Dude, I lost my mind. I was yelling and I was like, how? I'm not even like, I'm a Kobe Bryant. Like, I respect him, but like, I wasn't a fan because I couldn't stand the Lakers winning. Okay.
Hmm. I answered your
But I
question. So,
was
like you said,
infuriated. I was like, the
yeah.
disrespect infuriated me to the point where I had to just yell. Like, I was like, what are you doing? What?
And I
I
did
couldn't
name
believe it.
other players. I did name other players. I named Chris Webber, and I forgot who else I named because I answered your question.
But
Name
but
players
you
who
can't
wouldn't
you
shoot.
can't bring up Kobe Bryant in that conversation.
And then
I
I
lost my
also
mind.
gave you, and then I also gave you the specific game where Kobe did.
Either way, it was ridiculous. Either way, this is the first time I've ever heard you defend Ben Simmons in my life, and I just wasn't having any of it. I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not listening." I lost my mind. So yeah, and the how drastic was that vote? You got to see the results. Did people? Was it close or
Oh,
was it a
let me
landslide?
one
Because
second
I
because I
have a
forgot.
feeling that it was a landslide minus
Hold
your
on,
one vote the other way.
hold on. It was 63% your way and 38% my way.
That's right. People
So
know.
this is the context of the conversation.
Mhm.
I believe everything you said is 100% correct. Yes, I've not been Simmons. We know this. It's on record. It's on YouTube. Whatever. But I do believe every player has a chance to turn their career around. And that's the space I was coming from. Yes, he was scared to shoot. Yes, he was a piece of shit when he set out with the Sixers. Yes, all of that is right. But he has a chance to turn his career around. We've only seen a 2 week sample size this season to where he's still working into getting into basketball shape. Because I reference him fouling out a lot. He's fouling
Mhm.
out a lot because his defensive timing is off because he hadn't played for so long. Now I'll tell you, last night among the Brooklyn Nets losing, Ben Simmons almost dropped a triple double. He didn't finish with one, but let me pull up the box score
Nine, eight,
really quick.
nine. Yeah.
What was and his shooting percentage? Hold on, his shooting percentage was 3 or 7, so 42%. So if he would have made one more shot, he would have shot 50% from the field. So there's glimpses there that he can turn his career around. Do I expect him to be the go-to guy on the championship team? Absolutely not. Do I expect them to give us the productivity that Derrick Rose gave us after his injuries? He could probably do that because Derrick Rose was
Don't
able to
be so
savage his career.
disrespectful of Derrick Rose.
I'm not being disrespectful. I'm
Yeah.
talking numbers for numbers and impact for impact. Derrick Rose probably look. Derrick Rose was a pariah for 2 years because he wouldn't play. Let's just be real. He wouldn't play. So he was a pariah. People were looking at him like, what the fuck's up with this kid? He doesn't have the heart. Yada yada yada. He was able to come back and have a serviceable career, a little bit as a starter, but mostly as a bench player. Ben Simmons has a chance to salvage his NBA career. I don't care what anyone else says. He has an opportunity to do that. Last night was a little glimpse of what he could do in a limited role. Again, he's not going to be the go-to guy. He's not going to be an all-star. Those days are done. But I'll take a player
In
who
the
will
G
do
League.
that.
Derrick Rose has shown me through his career he knows how to face adversity. I'm not
Mhm.
saying Ben Simmons isn't talented enough to be a good player. I'm saying mentally he's shown that he's weaker than the other situations call for. He has shown
Okay.
us that he has only gotten weaker and weaker and weaker in mindset, and that's why he's scared to make layups in important times. I don't care about your little stats and what he shot field goal percentage because it was all at the rim, and it was all because it was a free time layup, probably. Okay, I don't
I don't
care.
know. I didn't
He's
watch the game.
scared. He doesn't need to be. He could be on the bench of a good team, but when it comes to a
Mhm.
good team needing all five players to be on the court in a playoff team, no, he is a liability, and he doesn't deserve to be on a good team as a starting point guard. Not saying he couldn't be a backup or something, but he doesn't even need to be a third or fourth option on a team because he can't shoot. He can't shoot because
We-
he's afraid to shoot. At least Derrick Rose is like, I'm not a great shooter. I'm not scared to shoot. I have to get better. I have to learn how to play again. Ben Simmons is just weak mentally. And until he proves otherwise, I'm going to think he's going to trend down instead of up. That is all. We're never going to see peak Ben Simmons again because that part of him is gone. He's weak
I'm not gonna
mentally.
say I'm not gonna say never, but last night was a good start for him, considering we only have a 2 week sample size for a guy who didn't play for almost a year and a half. All right, so we got something to talk about here. A young kid that I saw play a couple of times with San Antonio. He was cut earlier in the week, and people were surprised and shocked at why the kid was cut or whatnot. He released a statement citing a mental uh, not a mental disorder, but something with his mind. Forgive me, y'all. Forgive me. It's early. Um, but people thought his statement was weird. Well, the news broke last night that Joshua Primo has been accused of allegedly exposing himself to, they said, multiple women within the San Antonio uh, organization. So the only reason we're talking about it here is because we have to talk about the good of the NBA, and we also have to talk about the bad of the NBA. So I'm gonna read Primo's statement here. Can you see the screen, Bryce? Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the young man says, I know that you all are surprised by today's announcement. I've been seeking help to deal with previous trauma I suffered, and I will now take this time to focus on my mental health treatment more fully. I hope to be able to discuss these issues in the future so I can help others who have suffered in a similar way. I appreciate privacy at the time. So that's what the young man, that's a statement the young man dropped before the actual report dropped yesterday afternoon about him exposing himself to women within the Spurs organization. I do have a statement from the Spurs CEO. He said it is our hope that in the long run, this decision will serve the best interest of both the organization and Joshua. Now, one of the victims of the alleged crime has lawyered up. She's hired Deshaun Watson's accuser's lawyer. As of right now, there's only one victim that's lawyered up, but apparently there's multiple victims. So the Me Too movement, the women's right movement, has touched other industries. Right now seems to be touching the NBA. We've had the Ime Udoka situation, and now we have the Joshua Primo situation. If you had to say something to a young man in the NBA right now, Bryce, what would you tell
Keep it in your pants, man.
him? Mm-hmm.
You have it's almost like uh, unfortunately some of these young men maybe just don't realize really what they have in front of them, and so there's a lot of self-sabotage. Not yeah, I think some of it is just some people are built that way, and some people just don't have the right education to deal with some of these situations. And so, despite whatever inner demons you have, you have your golden ticket uh, to fix your problems, including that one. If you get the right advice and you get the right
Right,
direction, you can fix anything when you have that kind of money and that kind of position. You're a professional athlete.
right,
I don't care if you're at the end of the bench. You have a better opportunity to fix your problems than a lot of people. Because all it takes is money and the right people. And so for a lot of issues, I mean, I'm not saying money fixes the problems, but money, you can hire people to, if it's an inner, if it's a psychological thing, you can get the right doctors, you can get the right therapists, and you can get on the right track. There's good examples of that. This guy isn't the first example of someone needing help. So, yeah, I just feel like there needs to be more education for some people on these subjects. And, I just feel like with the right people in his camp, you can avoid a lot of these issues. But basically, it's just I hate to see these young guys self-sabotage when you have all the tools that you need to go about it the right way to fix it. But I just don't think they have the direction or the know-how to know where to go and to know what to do to fix these issues. Because, I mean, you're ruining your career, which is going to ruin your life. You just hate to see it.
yeah. I know each rookie class that comes into the NBA, they have what they call a rookie symposium. It's a week long in New York where they go over finances, they go over how to carry yourself in certain environments that may have a lot of women who may want your money. Just stuff like that. I'm pretty sure there's a sexual harassment class in there somewhere. It has to be. If it's not, shame on the NBA. But I'm gonna say it's in there. Um, I don't like his statement because he know, if true, okay, all of this is allegedly, but if true, he knows what he did or what he's done. There's no apology to anyone that he could have affected in an adverse situation. So that's my issue with his I get the mental health. I get it. Whatever. If that's the flag or the mountain you're going to stand on, fine. I get it. But at least acknowledge I could have hurt, the people.
Yeah.
Ime Udoka acknowledged the victim in his statement. You know what I'm saying? To anyone that I hurt, yada yada yada. So I wish the kid would have did it here, because if found true, because again, it's all allegations right now. If found true, he needs to, whatever the full extent of the law can be, he needs to suffer that, and his career probably needs to be over with, because this is a character issue. You cannot. We both have daughters. Okay, I don't want to even think about anyone walking around exposing themselves to my daughter. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
that horrifies me. Now, don't get me wrong, my daughter's older than yours, but it's still horrific. I'm like, no woman should have to work somewhere, because this was an employee of the Spurs. No woman should have to work in an environment where someone could expose himself to her. Like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
You're an NBA player. You can go to Walmart and get any bitch you want. Like,
even outside the workplace, that's unacceptable.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
That doesn't matter where you're at. It's grosser that you're at work, but it's still like that's unacceptable. And that. Like, as a person, that. That's another thing with his statement. I want to heal, and then maybe speak on what. No, we don't need to hear from you at this point. You need to heal and go away so you don't hurt more people. But we don't. We've seen examples of this. You know what not to do. We don't need you to be another example. We need you to just not do this.
Right.
I don't need you. I don't need to hear your opinion and speak on it afterwards. Just heal and please leave people alone.
Yeah. So kudos to the Spurs for once they caught wind of it, from just going ahead and letting this kid go, because they're going to take a cap hit from it, but you have to do what's right. And we know how Pop is. We know how the Spurs is.
They ain't worried about winning this year anyways. They can pay that cap and just win the season.
So here's another thing in the report, though, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, because the kid can be, he has potential. So this rubbed me the wrong way. They're like, other teams are monitoring the situation because they're thinking about picking him up. No. This kid should be untouchable until the extent of the investigation is over.
Yeah, agreed.
You shouldn't even consider touching him right now. You get what I'm saying? It is ridiculous. So, to the victims of whoever the victims are, we are with you on this one at the Hardwood Nation, because this is gross, dude. Look, I don't want to see anything else like this happens in the NBA. We've seen 2 instances this year. That's enough. I'm done. We just need to play basketball.
Agreed.
We don't need anything else this year, okay? So on that note, we're going to wrap it up. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share our content. Comment on our videos. We respond back most of the time. Give us shout outs. Tell us you hate us. Whatever. We don't care.
Right.
We will see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
That was the truth.